Appreciate everyone coming out, spending some time with us. Really excited. We've got Chase Buckner from HighLevel. He is the Director of Product Marketing. So he's going to be talking to us about how to build a sales on-demand machine with JobTread and HighLevel. Super excited. Can't wait for this. Before we get into that, though, just a couple little housekeeping things. I do want to remind everyone about JobTread Pros. It's our Facebook group. It's a great place to connect with others who are using JobTread, similar type businesses, things like that. Really awesome community. If you're not in there, be sure to hop in there as soon as you can. Next up, we've got Builder Stories. So this is our weekly podcast. We have some phenomenal episodes that keep coming out every Wednesday. We publish a new episode. This is a great way to learn from other builders, learn from their experience, their journeys, the challenges that they've had, how they've overcome them. So definitely tune into that. Love for you to like, subscribe, all the usual on, all the different podcast listening things there. So tune in. And next up, we've got boot camp. So if you have not attended one of our JobTread beginner boot camps, we've got one coming up here, next week, the end of June, and then another one at the end of July. This is a great way, especially if you're new to JobTread, to come get a full 2 days immersive experience, hands-on training from our team. I also give a couple talks, some business type talks. Really, really great opportunity here again to just meet the entire JobTread team, get to network with others, similar people going through the same, setup implementation that you are. So definitely check that out, jobtread.com/bootcamp. And lastly, I want to remind everybody about JobTread Connect. So we have secured the location. We've got the dates, January 14th to the 16th and 2026. So, we already have a lot of the tickets have already sold, but you can get those on the marketplace in JobTread. You can learn more about the conference as well, jobtreadconnect.com. Would love to see you all out there. HighLevel is one of our lead sponsors last year. Really excited, really appreciate that. They brought a whole bunch of people, gave away a lot of gifts, a lot of raffles, things like that. So really made it a fun experience, but really appreciate you all support there, Chase.
I love it. Yeah, you could probably see me somewhere on the left towards the back in that picture. What an event that was.
Yeah, it was awesome. So last up, I really just want to, welcome HighLevel. Appreciate Chase coming, taking some time to walk through this presentation with everyone, but I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to you, Chase.
Fantastic. This is a cool little overview slide. If you're new to HighLevel, we are an all-in-one AI-powered sales and marketing platform, or CRM, you could say. So we've got all the tools that you need to go from, landing page, the form on the page, through automation, email, SMS, WhatsApp automations, all the way through reputation management and some other sort of bottom of the funnel type of features that we'll talk about today. And it is white label ready. So if you're an agency that works with home services businesses using JobTread, you can actually white label the platform as well and resell it as your own software and sort of create your own special blend of the features and the, what you can do with it and tailor it towards your customers. But today we're here to talk about how to build a sales on-demand machine with JobTread and HighLevel. I love this topic. It is a proven framework. And it does create sort of a flywheel effect, which we'll talk about. And it's a quick story. We just had an event in London, and Ryan Deiss came to speak, who's one of the greatest marketers of all time. And his topic was very similar to this. When you set yourself up with a system like this, it really does become sales on demand, and that's kind of the goal. See some questions that we always get. Will this replay be available? So Eric, I'll let you address that one before we dive in.
Yep, absolutely. We will have it on the JobTread help desk as well as on our YouTube. So be sure to subscribe to that if you're not already. But we will hopefully get this up. Should be by tomorrow.
All right, awesome. Let's dive in. So again, my name is Chase Buckner. I am the Director of Product Marketing here at HighLevel. If we haven't crossed your radar yet, we talked about how we're a sales and marketing CRM. We do have a global team of over 1,500 people now, so we're a pretty big org. We're fully remote, scattered all over the world. Our headquarters is in Dallas. We're currently powering, and this is actually out of date, we just crossed 100,000 customers, representing about 1.2 million businesses right now. At any given time, there are millions of users in the system. And to date, I think we've seen about $17 billion processed through the platform, which is really cool. to see that much success happening. But over the years, we have really seen it all, right? We've worked with businesses in every industry, not just home services, of every size and scale, every model. And we build the tools to power all of that. But there's really one winning formula that we've seen over and over again. And that's become this framework. We now call it the growth flywheel. And no, it is not to print out a sandwich board and hit your local corner. It's a little more, it's a little more intricate than that. But the winning formula is something that we call database reactivation. So the cool thing about database reactivation is it actually requires zero ad spend. And once you've got it set up, it generates sales on demand. Now, you can't really just jump straight to database reactivation unless you've been in business for a while. But when you get there, you can do things like this. We can be sending out emails like home saunas, hot trend type of stuff like that on the right. And then on the left, we can follow it up with a reactivation campaign in text message or WhatsApp that would say something like, hey, Killer Construction here. Check out this backyard sauna we just finished. Have you seen all the benefits from these things? So we live in a world now where we can create this more conversational type of marketing. And when we send stuff like this out, we get stuff like this back. Oh, that's so funny. We were just talking about putting one of those in. How much would it be for the one in the picture? Right? And this is really the goal here with database reactivations, is to be able to hit a button, generate conversations, and conversations become conversions. So again, it's hard to jump straight to this, but here's another quick example of once you're there, things that you can send. Hey, Killer Kitchen's here. We're installing more and more kitchen sink foot pedals. Have you ever tried one of these? This is something I had never actually seen until last year. And the first time I saw a foot pedal, I was like blown away. They make so much sense. And so I know if you were to send something like that out to a database of past leads and customers, you're going to get people replying, saying stuff like, whoa, I never even knew these existed. How much do these cost? Right? And so these are sales opportunities, these conversations that we can generate on demand once we've built a system to put us in place to have that database to reactivate. So again, I can't stress this enough. When you get to that point, database reactivation campaigns literally become sales on demand buttons. You hit the button and you can expect to generate conversations that your team can then turn into sales. So how do we get there? Let's talk about it. It's definitely not by sitting around hoping something's going to happen, right? And this is, I think, the most important thing is just taking action. I see so many businesses get paralyzed when it comes to marketing and where to dive in. There's so many tactics and features and and it's really just taking some action, making some forward progress. And what we're going to talk about today is really a blueprint that you could follow to keep yourself focused. This 5-step framework we call capture, nurture, close, evangelize, and reactivate. Don't try to make an acronym out of it. Kind of spells cancer. We don't want to give our businesses cancer, but I really haven't been able to find any words to better replace these because they do really hit the mark as far as what the framework is all about. So let's talk about capture. Winning businesses consistently capture new leads into their CRM. And the key to this is having a standing offer. I'm always blown away at how many businesses do not have a standing offer. So typically they'll say, well, we do. It's request a free quote. That is not a standing offer, right? That's a call to action. And most of your traffic isn't going to be ready to jump right to that stage. You need something that theoretically any of your potential customers should want in exchange for their contact information. So something like what we see on the right here, if we're, we do kitchen work, top kitchen trends of 2025, right? Put together a nice PDF, an ebook, whatever that may be. And that's your offer where you're going to drive your traffic so that they can claim it with their contact information in exchange for the downloadable. Once you have an offer in place, and I'd love for this talk to be interactive. So in the chat, throw a 1 in there if you feel like you have a good standing offer. And again, it doesn't have to be an ebook. It could be a $500 voucher code. It could be a free t-shirt, whatever it is, but it is not request a free quote, right? That's a call to action. We're talking about offers. So throw a 2 in there if you feel like, oh man, we should get to work on this. We need to brainstorm and come up with a standing offer. Okay, great. Yeah, I've seen it. But okay, all right. A lot of folks. And again, this is totally typical when we sit down with businesses and ask them where they want to get started. We typically find that they don't have a standing offer in place. So once we have that offer in place, now it's time to start thinking about traffic. How do we get eyeballs and traffic to this offer? Typically, you're going to be seeing it across the board from SEO, paid ads, there's traditional media, social media, of course, and even in-person marketing, right? So let's quickly take a tour of these and check out some features in HighLevel that can help you along the way. When we talk about SEO, we're talking about search engine optimization, right? Showing up higher in Google when people search the terms relevant to our businesses and our services. And in HighLevel, we have a suite of tools to help you do that. We actually have this really awesome integration called Auto, which will literally scan your website and tell you all of the things that could be improved. And you can just hit a button and it will actually go do them. So this has been something that hasn't really been seen until last year when this technology rolled out. But essentially, it's sort of like a cheat button. You can really skyrocket yourself to the top of the rankings when you leverage these sort of tools, as well as reviews. And we'll talk about that in a bit. When we talk about paid ads, you can actually launch them right inside of HighLevel. So now you can launch Google ads, Facebook ads, and Instagram ads without actually leaving the platform, which is really nice because if you've ever used the ad managers provided by Google and Meta, they're really confusing and really complex. So maybe if you're working with an ad agency that knows all those intricacies, you're good. But if you want to run your own ads, it's really nice to have a really user-friendly interface to do that, which we now have inside of HighLevel. So if we've got paid ad budgets, we can go ahead and launch campaigns right within the platform. Traditional media. If you're running traditional media like billboards and things like that, you want to make sure that you sort of modernize them in a way that, again, can capture leads for you. And things like this work really well. So with HighLevel, you can basically set a keyword like Spring 450, claim this offer, and I could literally text that number, that keyword, and it will fire off an automation inside of HighLevel that'll text them back and say, hey, thanks for claiming 450 off. You know, have you ever had your kitchen done before? And boom, now we're in a sales conversation, right? That doesn't feel salesy. And so with traditional media, we can do this type of stuff. And then, of course, social media. So in HighLevel, we have a whole social planner. So you can literally create and schedule your content out for as far into the future as you want to go. And what's really cool about this is you can now even schedule buckets of content. So what do I mean by that? Let's say you make different sort of types of content, right? Maybe you have job showcase type of posts. Hey, look at this awesome kitchen we did last month. Maybe you have DIY tips that you like to post. Maybe you have sort of inspirational type of posts, whatever they may be. Those are your buckets. You can then upload content into those buckets. And then in the calendar, say, hey, every Tuesday at noon, post something from the DIY bucket. And it will automatically, dynamically grab a piece of content from your bucket and post it. And then it will cycle through that content. So you can literally schedule out like a year's worth of content that just sort of auto generates itself from the buckets of content that you've uploaded, which is really important because statistically, I don't know if you guys have seen this. Actually, let's take a guess. What percentage of your Instagram followers do you think actually see a post every time you post one? What percentage of your followers actually see your posts? Okay, you guys are up on it. It's definitely less than 10%. Obviously, it varies, but I usually see around 6%. So if we think about that, every time we post a post, and maybe you're paying professional photographers to take photos of your work, you're investing all this money and time into it, you put it up on Instagram, and only 8% of your followers are going to see it. No, we need to recycle the content to give us the best shot of getting that content in front of people. So that's why the scheduler is awesome, and those buckets and the recycle feature are really great because we can just keep more and more swings at it without having to do the manual work. All right, let's talk about in-person marketing. This is cool. We can do things like generate QR codes inside of HighLevel. So if we're using business cards and things like that, or maybe you want to screenshot it and always have it on your phone if you don't like to carry business cards around like me, we can make these QR codes that do all sorts of things, which is really cool. So you can set it so like somebody scans it, it actually opens up the text message app on their phone with a pre-written message. So all they have to do is hit send, and that'll come to you inside your HighLevel account, and you could trigger off the keyword that you pre-program in there. There's all sorts of things that you can do with it. But the point is, we want to make our traditional marketing interactive, right? We're no longer just handing people business cards and hope they get back to us. Have them scan it. Have them, shoot me a text so I have you in my contacts, and that will make it really, really easy to do so. So all sorts of tools, we're just breezing through a few of them, but the point is we now have all the tools in place. And again, we have like the form builder to build that standing offer that we talked about, everything there so that we can start consistently capturing leads. I can't stress this enough. If you're just driving, if you're investing money in ads and social and generating traffic to your website and you don't have an offer on there, you're just like lighting money on fire. You're pouring money or water into a leaky bucket because people are just hitting there and they're not ready to take that step. If you have an offer, you can get them into your pipeline, into your system, and it doesn't cost them anything, right? So they're happy to make that exchange. And I think the things like the top trends are a great way to do that because the people who are not yet ready to buy from you, they are shopping around, right? They're in the ideation phase. They're trying to get ideas of what the project's going to be or look like. So get creative, create your offer, put it in place, and now you're ready to start capitalizing on that traffic that you're actually generating. 2 new advancements in AI that help us generate leads like crazy. The first is chatbots. So with HighLevel, we're going to give you this chat widget that you can see in the middle here to put on your website. What's cool is it has different modes. So it can be live chat or it can be SMS, where like when they send the message, it actually comes into the system as a text. And when you reply, it goes back to their phone as a text. But we can now turn on AI to run across any of those channels. So you've probably hit a website in the past, right, where you fill out one of these and it says like, this website typically replies in 2 hours. And you're like, okay, so I'm supposed to sit on this website for 2 hours waiting for somebody to reply to me? No way. Like, you're going to bounce, right? And probably go to the next competitor. Now we can put AI on it so it is immediately there ready to have the conversation. And if you haven't played with conversation AI and what it's capable of now, you'll be blown away. It is incredible with FAQs. You can literally just feed it your website. It will digest everything on your site. And now it knows all that information and it can answer questions left and right based on the info. You can feed it Google Docs. So if you want to add more information, or you can manually input FAQs. This is all things that you can do that are very quick and easy to set up with a conversation AI. And what's amazing is that it can now book appointments. So inside of HighLevel, we have full online scheduling. So the AI actually sees the availability and it will just converse with people. And when it senses that they're ready to schedule a call or a Zoom or an in-person appointment, whatever you want it to do, it will suggest that. And then it can either send them the link or it can literally just conversationally say, are you looking to come in this week? Okay, I've got Tuesday at 2, Friday at 4. Do any of these times work for you? So again, if you haven't played with it, check it out. It's at a really amazing place. The next one is voice AI. And so inbound voice AI has really been a game changer. Why? Because, actually, let's do another quiz here. What percentage of inbound calls would you say go unanswered every day, week, month in the United States? What percentage of your inbound calls do you think that your business misses? Doesn't get to, right? After hours, receptionist was taking out the trash. They were already on another call and somebody tried to call in. They were on a spam call, missed a real call. All right, I see one guess. Thanks for playing, Tristan. 65%, and that's very close. Depending on the industry, it's going to range for between like 35 and 60 something percent, which is crazy, right? Because what do consumers do when they call a business, don't get an answer, especially if they've Googled the business? Like if they Googled something, they saw your business show up, they call you, you don't answer, they call the next competitor, right? And so businesses lose so much money to missed calls. And now we have inbound voice AI to solve for that. So I'm going to play you a funny example here. And let me just make sure I'm sharing with sound. Just to give you, and for full context, I recorded this demo about a year ago. And AI has, you've seen the pace at which this AI is improving. So imagine what it sounds. Actually, the voices sound even better right now. But check this out.
Hey, you have reached ABC Plumbing. How can I help you today?
Yeah, I'm having a little bit of an emergency. My toilet is clogged and there's everywhere.
Oh no, that sounds like a real mess. Let's get this sorted out for you. Can I start by getting your name, please?
Yeah, my name is Tim.
Just to make sure I've got it right, your name is T-I-M.
Yeah.
Correct?
Yes.
Great, thanks, Tim. Could you please provide your address so we can send someone over to help?
Yeah, it's 123 Sesame Street, 75201.
Thanks for that. Just to confirm, your address is 123 Sesame Street, 75201.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Perfect. Is the number you're calling from a good one to reach you back on?
Yeah.
Awesome. Our team will get back to you as soon as possible to confirm their arrival time. Hang in there, Tim.
So, as you can see, that was obviously a very quick and kind of funny demo, but it is capable of so much now. Let me flip through this next slide. Inbound voice AI agents can be always on, or you can set business hours so they only answer after your hours, right? Instead of voicemail. They can handle, I think ours can handle up to 100 simultaneous calls at the same time. They can even forward calls. So if you need to build like a call tree for different departments, it will talk to you and be like, oh, you're calling in to speak to somebody about billing. Let me transfer you, and transfer that call out to live humans or another voice AI agent, which is incredibly powerful. This one I love. After every call, it's going to shoot you, the business, an email with an AI recap of what happened on the call and the full transcription below it. So you can see exactly what's being said on these calls, and you can actually go back and sort of fine tune your prompt if you need to improve your AI. But here's where it gets powerful. Every call becomes a contact in your system. And as it's talking to you, it's populating information. So when he said Tim, first name became Tim. When he gave the address, it fills in the address, right? And so you can tell it, hey, I don't know, if we go back to the kitchen example, I want you to ask everybody who calls in if they've ever, when they last had their kitchen remodeled, or when was their kitchen built, or what year was their house built, or whatever it may be. And when it gets that information, it stores it into a custom field. And so you can then go back and see all this information that it gathered from your calls. You can automate off that information. It's incredibly powerful. And they can trigger automations. So you could say, okay, ask everybody if they've ever had their kitchen remodeled before. If they say yes, I want to fire off this automation that notifies these folks. If they say no, I want to do X, Y, and Z over here. It can even text the caller back. So it could have said, hey, Tim, let's say they were calling in just to get information. Would you like me to text you back our pricing on this number you're calling in on? Which is, again, insanely powerful because we're engaging the lead instead of letting them move on to a competitor. Costs a fraction, a decimal of what it costs to hire a human employee to answer the phone all the time. If you've ever used an answering service, you know what I'm talking about. And I agree with Zuckerberg here, who recently gave an interview where he said every business in the future, just like they have an email address, a website, and a social media presence today, is going to have an AI agent that their customers can talk to in the future. I really believe we're at that moment, like in the early 90s, where every business realized, hey, we need a website. We need one of these things called website. Right now, you're starting to see businesses realize, hey, we're going to need some of this AI stuff because our competitors are starting to pull away. How do we get this set up? And so right inside of HighLevel, we've got those tools for you. You can build your chatbots, you can build your AI agents to answer your phone calls. And again, consistently capture those leads, those contacts into the system so that we can get to that reactivation stage that we're going to talk about in a minute. So first step, capture. Second step, nurture. If I asked you, hey, every time somebody reaches out to you, how quickly are you getting back? I guarantee you I'm going to get a lot of this, right? Because we are humans, and humans are just too busy, too inconsistent, too all sorts of things to get back to people. And that is just a game killer, because there was a really smart guy who did a study on leads. He was an MIT professor. And the long story short is there is a 5-minute shot clock. When somebody reaches out or somebody claims your offer, you have 5 minutes to engage them, or you might as well not even try. And so that is why, because humans are too slow, too inconsistent. We also are going to talk about consistency here. We have to leverage automation. So somebody claims my offer, boom, I'm firing back an email and an SMS, right? If we're doing that $450 voucher, you're getting a text message back like this. Oh, I forgot I actually used that example. How old is your kitchen? Right? So when you get that text, you're not feeling like, oh my gosh, they're trying to sell me something, right? They just ask you a disarming question. How old's your kitchen? Oh, wow. Our house was built in actually 1910 and the kitchen is the original kitchen, right? And now you're in a genuine conversation with a potential customer. So that's really the key, is that conversation starter in your automated follow-up. But I mean, the real key is the automation. It has to happen instantly. And it should be more than just that. So this is an example of a workflow recipe that we actually have in the system. So it's pre-built. It's called the Fast 5. So what we're saying here is, hey, every time somebody claims our offer, of course, send them the email with next steps and all that. But send them that text message that we just talked about. Then wait 2 minutes. And then the next step checks to see if they've replied to the SMS in 2 minutes. And if they haven't, it hits this secret weapon down here. Can I get a laser? Yeah, my call connect feature. This will actually call you. And when you answer, a robot will tell you, hey, you have a new lead. The lead's name is Chase Buckner. Press any key to connect with Chase. You push a button on your phone, it's going to dial the lead. And if they answer, it's going to bridge the call. So if you have sales teams, you can literally have the system try to put them on the phone with your leads, your prospects, within 5 minutes, if they haven't already texted back. So think about that, right? And, if you've ever done lead gen in the past, you've run Facebook ads where, some agency is just basically sending you an email saying, hey, you've got a new lead. Here's their name, email, phone number. Good luck. Think about how different that is compared to this. Right? The system is taking leads and turning them right into conversations for you. And so then, of course, we can do wait steps and wait a day. We can also do the next step that got cut off on the screenshot is a ringless voicemail. Sends it out. Their phone doesn't actually ring. They just get a voicemail. And that's just a pre-recorded message from you, right? Hey, thanks for claiming our, guide to top kitchen trends of 2025. If you have any questions in there, let us know. You can text us back on this number, whatever you want that to be. So again, we talked about how the next step is typically nurturing somebody into a booking. We've got full online scheduling in the system. We just rolled out a brand new set of service calendars, which are really nice. So you've got all of that baked in. And then as you're generating these conversations, you want to use what are called pipelines. And I'll be blown away if you guys are already using pipelines, but give me a 3 in the chat if you are. Pipelines are game changers because they show you where everybody is at. Fantastic. You guys are amazing. Do you guys have pipelines in JobTread? Is that why everybody's already using pipelines? Okay. Fantastic. I don't have to tell you guys then. It's critical, right? You need to see where everybody's at in the process so you can create custom pipelines, and then they spit out funnel reports. So you get to see exactly where your biggest drop-offs are and where you need to focus. So capture, nurture, close, If I asked you how you're bidding, closing your jobs, it better not be that we're asking people to print, sign, and fax stuff back to us, right? Of course we're not, because you guys are using JobTread. So I'm not going to go too far into this. You guys have all the features that you need. My sense is that you're already rocking when it comes to bidding out, closing, collecting money on your jobs here. So capture, nurture, close, evangelize is probably an area where we could use some help. We cannot simply be happy with a job well done, right? If this is you, you are leaving money on the table. You're leaving more than money on the table. You're actually even leaving rankings on the table. We have to turn our customers into positive reviews and recommendations. And the key to that is automation. So we need to automatically ask for reviews. We call them review requests in the system, as well as recommendations. It's as simple as this, right? Hey, Tom, payment received. Thanks. It was a pleasure working with you, and your feedback would mean a lot. Would you mind leaving us a review? So you could trigger this every time. You could do it however you want. You could do it off of a calendar booking. You could do it off of a JobTread invoice getting paid. Whatever your trigger makes sense for you. You just need to make sure that the system is automating a request. Think about how many more reviews you would generate if you weren't leaving it up to humans to do the ask and you put it into the hands of automation. Here's an example of an easy workflow. It triggers off an invoice being paid. It's going to send that review request, and then it's going to wait a day. And then this one is one that gets so often overlooked, the recommendation requests. Let's say you just finished, again, I'll just keep using the kitchen example. You just finished the job. You want to follow up sometime after saying, hey, do you know any friends or family who might be interested in having their kitchen done? And you could get, I would get cute with it, right? I would say, hey, in the coming weeks, you're going to have friends and family coming over, and they're all going to be gushing over your new kitchen. If any of them might want to have their kitchens done, we just wanted to have you guys have this $400, $500 voucher that you could pass along as a friends and family discount, right? Just forward them this email, have them reach out, and we'll apply that to the job. So you want to have that type of recommendation offer in place as well. And again, it's got to be automated. But think about how much more business you'll generate if you could just turn a fraction of your customers into one or two more. I'd be curious, actually, how many folks have some sort of recommendation offer? Are you guys proactively asking your customers, your jobs to, great, okay, I'm seeing some yeses in there. That's awesome. Cool. Well, hopefully HighLevel could help you systematize that and make it even more easy to do. Referral fees, beautiful. Cool. Oh, I should mention, you can actually run what we call affiliate or referral programs right inside of HighLevel as well. So if you want a system to keep track of all of that and actually do the payouts for you, that's in there too. Okay, so let's get back to our reputation management suite. So in here, it's going to pull in all your Google and Facebook reviews automatically so you can read and reply to them. You can monitor the performance of how many reviews that you're generating, what your velocity looks like. And we can even now leverage AI to reply to the reviews, which is crazy. This does such a good job. It's scary. Just a quick story here. We were at an event and this guy, he was a photographer. He was like, hey, I turned that on and it was amazing. It was replying to all my positive reviews really well, super professionally. It knew my brand tone and all that. But then random, uncommon for me, I got a negative review. And he's like, it was a Friday and I was so beat up about it. I spent the entire weekend thinking of how I was going to reply to this guy. And it was actually sort of user error. And I was debating on whether I should call him out or whatever. And he decided, you know what, I'm going to tell him that he's wrong. And he went to leave the reply. And then he realized that the AI had already done it. And he's like, it did way more of a professional job than I was going to do. And he's like, so now knowing it does good and bad reviews is a huge weight off my shoulders. Here's why this is important. Google rewards businesses that reply to the reviews because it shows that you are an engaged business. So if you're looking for more ways to increase your rankings, Make sure that you're replying to every review. And if you want to leverage AI, it does a fantastic job to do that. We can also leverage our reviews as a conversion improver. So we want to basically put a widget like this on the website so that every time you get a new 5-star review, it's going to automatically show that on the site so that your customers, because guess what? 90-something% of us read reviews before we decide to purchase something. They're going to go looking for reviews. So don't make them leave your website to do so. Pull them right in. They can be dynamically displayed. They look fantastic, so that they don't have to leave. We can also now, I mentioned that we have the social media scheduler. We have automations where you can say, hey, every time I get a 5-star review, turn it into a reel or a story using this template that we configure and post it. So we can automate the process of taking our best reviews and having them posted across Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and some other networks as well. So again, we're going to leverage our best reviews as sort of ways to improve conversion rates and attract more customers. So that's the evangelize. And now we get to reactivate. Reactivate your database with engaging content, right? Here are a couple of fun examples. Let's say we're a pool company on the left. We go, hey, Killer Pools here. We're having a client trying to decide slide or no slide, right? People love this kind of stuff. And I think hopefully that's sort of opening the eyes to, I get a lot of times when I'm talking to like dentists or tradesmen, people don't want to hear from us, right? Like they don't want to be receiving emails and text messages from us. You are crazy if you think that. You just have to get creative, figure out your brand, and have fun with it, right? Do you know how many dads would love to hear from their plumber with tips and tricks and jokes and things like that, right? Home improvement dads. Oh, I mean, so the sky's the limit. You just have to sit down and sort of make a solid plan here, right? And we can even use AI inside of HighLevel to help us write the emails or the texts. But you want to be sending stuff like this out consistently, because again, every time you do, you're going to generate those conversations. So if I asked you, how often are you reaching out? Am I going to get this? Yeah, you're probably right. We know we should. We're supposed to send a monthly newsletter, but we, hardly ever get around to it. Give me a 5 if this is you. If you know you should be reaching out more frequently, or maybe you're not at all, and you're like, we need to start. And again, the key to this is having the database full of contact information to reach out to. Anybody, give me the 6s, because I know it's hard to, it's a little, embarrassing if we're not there yet. Give me a 6 if you are. If you feel like, yes, we consistently, once a month, once a week, whatever it may be, reach back out to past leads, customers, with some sort of messaging. Okay, Bill, I see you. I'm impressed. So the key to this is to consistently send out reactivation campaigns. We need to make sure there's something that we would want to receive, right? Put yourself in the shoes of your potential customer or your customers and make sure it's something that they would want to get. And then hopefully these ideas here will help. You might want to screenshot that or take a picture of it. Let's talk through them. Promotions, of course, but you can't run promotions every time or people just feel spammed, right? So use promotions sparingly, maybe once a quarter. Origin stories. These are great. People want to get to know you and your business and your employees, right? If you've got, wacky Bob who wears Hawaiian shirts on the job every day, who, grew up at the beach and like people love to learn and hear these types of stories. Holidays are no brainers, right? Obviously, we have holidays throughout the calendar year. It's a great reason to reach back out with some sort of promotion or story or whatever it may be. Case studies for sure, right? We love to see the possible future that we want that you can provide for us. So people love seeing your work, right? When you finish a job, you want to show it off, send it out to your database. Hey, we just completed, this kitchen in this town. It was a tricky one because when we got there, they didn't realize that they had this going on. And so we had to pivot on the spot and blah, 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 blah. People love that stuff. Testimonials, same sort of thing. Hey, and you can even combine the two, right? Here's a quote from Susan, the owner of the house, whatever. People love that. Here's the other one I love: daily reflections and lessons. These are so important because they build you up as the authority in your industry. So what do I mean by this? Let's say you're a home contractor business and DeWalt launches a new blade saw. I'm just guessing here. I'm no tradesman, right? So DeWalt launches a new blade saw. What do you think of it, right? What does your expertise tell you about it? And your customers, your potential customers, they want to hear your opinion. So the more that you talk about trends going on in the industry, tools of the industry, hey, if you've got this situation going on, and, here's to the point where I would DIY it, here's to the point where I would consider reaching out for help, whether it's us or somebody else. This type of content is going to establish you as the authority in your space. So the next time they think about, oh, I need a plumber, oh, I need somebody to work on this, I need an electrician or whatever, you come immediately to mind because they've been seeing your content week over week, month over month, proving that you know more than everybody in your industry. And again, it's not about knowing more being right. It's about your opinion, your take on what's going on around the industry. Here's another just example of one I love. We're running a spring promo on pot filler faucets. Have you ever tried one of these? Right? Things like these, again, this does not feel salesy. It's designed to get a reply. And that should be the goal of your outreach, because conversations become conversions, right? Very few conversions happen before a conversation was started, right? I think that's especially true in the home services business. People don't just go to your website and buy stuff, right? They need to have conversations about what they're trying to accomplish. And so the key is to break down that barrier of like, oh my gosh, as soon as I say anything to these guys, they're going to start selling me something, and let them know, no, that's not the case. We want to talk to you. We want to have fun conversations about pot fillers and foot pedals and slides in your pool, whatever it may be. Here's what's cool about this. If you do these 5 things consistently, you create what's called a flywheel effect. A flywheel effect is a system that every time it turns is easier to turn, but every time it turns, it produces a greater result. So let's check this out really quickly. Every time we capture leads, if we consistently capture new leads into our system every month, we have more leads to nurture into conversations, right? More leads equals more conversations. More conversations is more opportunities to close deals. So we're getting more customers. More customers equals more opportunities to generate reviews. And we already talked about how Google rewards businesses with lots of reviews. Think about it, right? When you're Google and I'm searching home, kitchen company, how do they know who to recommend? Right? It's obvious. They look at reviews. Who has the most, who has the best, and who gets them the most frequently. So the more positive reviews you generate consistently, the better your rankings go. And then what happens when your rankings improve? Google sends you more traffic to capture with your offer. So this system feeds itself and it grows. So every time you send out that reactivation campaign, it's going to a bigger and bigger group of people. The more people we reach out to, the more conversations we generate, the more sales opportunities get created for us to close. So hopefully, does everybody see? Give me a 10 in the chat if that resonates, if that makes sense. We need to create a system that feeds itself so that every time we activate it, we're producing a bigger and bigger and bigger result. Fantastic. All right, I see a lot of 10s. It sounds like this is making some sense here. And I believe we're going to have time for some Q&A, but I was instructed to throw this one up. Normally it's a 14-day free trial, but because you're a part of Eric and JobTread's network, if you guys did want to test out HighLevel, you can get it for an extra 2 weeks for free. You can just scan that QR code there and learn more about how to open up that free trial. Okay, wow, I was ignoring the FAQ bar, but now I see we have some questions in there. What do you say we dive into some of these, Eric?
Yeah, let's do it. Looks like Ben Schneider had, is the AI chatbot required to notify the person that they are speaking to an AI?
So that's totally up to you. I prefer to, yes, make it known. Hey, I am, and give it a fun name. I'm Hiley, the AI chatbot from HighLevel. Some people do, some people don't. I like to do that because I don't like it when people figure out that it's not a human. I feel like that causes frustration. But we also have what's called human rollover. So if they're saying like, I want to talk to a human, it is aware of that, and it could say like, okay, cool, let me get a human over here, and it can fire off basically notifications to your staff. So I like to err on the side of yes, especially with the voice. Introduce itself. Hey, I'm Susan, JobTread's AI assistant. How can I help you today?
Nope. All right. Tristan asked, is texting a code to receive an amount off, i.e. the summer 2025 for $250 off, considered a standing offer?
100%. Absolutely. And again, I love to make an offer that I put everywhere. So if I'm running billboards, it's the same offer that's on my website. If I'm on social media, I'm going to make a like a Linktree page. Basically, these are just skinny pages that we make in HighLevel that are really optimized for mobile. And the first thing on that is my offer. And then I have a button for like view the website, watch our YouTube videos, like whatever. So I love that offer, Tristan. I think it's a great one, and I would put it everywhere you're driving traffic.
All right. So Ali said, and I see a bunch of people in the chat are asking, so how do you link JobTread invoices to Go HighLevel?
So there's a bunch of different ways, and we're actually working on a direct integration here, but there are folks that have built this direct integration already in our marketplace. So you can go into basically our app library and you can find it in there. We also have inbound, outbound webhooks, which basically open up HighLevel to anything. So if you're working with developers, they can connect anything. And then we have Zapier, if you've ever used that. It's like a user-friendly no-code way to integrate things. And so JobTread is in Zapier, right? And HighLevel is too. So you can just build zaps that move stuff back and forth as well.
Yeah, so it's in Zapier, you'd look for what's called the lead connector. Is the HighLevel's kind of Zap integration point there. It's called lead connector, and then you can connect that with JobTread. That's probably at this point going to be the most robust, the best way to to integrate the two, just because we're both already on there. Zapier, JobTread has a very in-depth integration on Zapier. We have been looking at trying to figure out kind of what's the best way to integrate JobTread and HighLevel. We're hoping to get it directly into the HighLevel workflows, but it looks like because we use a lot of custom fields on the JobTread side, it might be a little bit more tricky there. So we're still kind of looking at, we may actually build out some sort of a workflow automation sort of set of tools on our side that we can then kind of incorporate the kind of use your webhooks to essentially come in, and then, let's say the triggers a webhook, that would essentially allow you to, if you want to create a customer in JobTread, a contact, a job, location, you'd be able to do all that.
Yeah, but I agree. Like you said, Zapier is really easy way to get started integrating the two because we're both already in there.
Yep. All right. Corey said, how deep can the integration between HighLevel and JobTread go? For a cookie cutter job, could I use a chatbot to gather as much information as possible and then automatically create a quote?
You could. You totally could. So your chatbot or your voice AI, you could tell it to collect certain amounts of information, certain pieces of information, and then you can have workflows that fire off of that information. So if, this field contains whatever, go ahead and fire off a webhook or a tag, a tag, right? If you're using Zapier, that's the easy way to do it. Apply a specific tag, and then your Zap is waiting. Hey, when this tag gets applied in HighLevel, go create an invoice in JobTread. Lots of ways to do that, Corey. If you have people on your team, I'm sure they've figured it out. If not, you could reach out to Eric or HighLevel. We have a whole certified admin community that could help out as well.
Yep. So for any of the, like on the JobTread Zapier side, when you create a job, you're able to, I believe you can import a template from your catalog if you wanted. That's one of the options. You can also use our, we have an API query action within Zapier that really gives you a lot of kind of pretty much sky's the limit if you wanted to, create documents, things like that. I will say it's probably not the easiest. So you'll definitely need to dig in to be able to kind of get that all figured out, but it's certainly possible. All right, we got a bunch of questions over here in the chat. Jaron asked, I guess this is referring to the 30-day free trial. Will this work if I'm already on the 14-day trial?
I would reach out to our support and just say, hey, I was hanging out with Eric and Chase on a JobTread webinar and there was a 30-day promotion. Could I get my trial extended? I can't guarantee it'll be a yes, Jerome, but I have a good feeling that they will.
No. All right. Brian asked here, do I need to have another phone number to include texting through HighLevel?
Most likely, yes, Brian, unless you're using something. If you're using another system that's like an online thing, you can port the number in, but typically you're just going to spin up a new number inside of HighLevel and use that for your marketing activities. It's super easy. You buy them right in HighLevel. They cost $2 a month. You can get them in your area code. So yeah, it's pretty quick and easy there. And then what's cool about that, Brian, is once you have a HighLevel number, your whole team can download the Lead Connector app and everybody can have access to that number in those conversations. So it's not like in the past where people would be like passing around the work phone. This is basically communication at scale. So your whole team can have access to the conversations and you can save snippets of like all your frequently asked question answers and stuff, your pricing or whatever. So it's really quick to just drop information right into those conversations. And again, everybody can be on the go, having those conversations and seeing what's being said, all with one number.
Yep. Russell said, are there any transaction fees for emails and SMS marketing like other platforms, i.e. volume or amount of contacts?
Yeah. So what's cool about HighLevel is we took the opposite approach than most software here. You get unlimited contacts in the system, unlimited users in the system. And if you're an agency and you go on the agency account, you get unlimited clients in the system. So we don't charge for any of that stuff. We don't like to like penalize people for growth. But we just give you pay per what you use, right? So every time you send an email, it's like a fraction of a fraction of a fraction of a penny, right? Every time you send a text, it's like 3/4 of a penny or something like that. So typically you save a lot of money when it comes to email, especially, and SMS as well. I think a typical business, in my experience, that's doing text message marketing, text follow-ups, like when you book a job, you probably want to be sending text message reminders leading up to it and whatnot. It's going to be like $10 a month or something in text fees. And then on the email side, again, depending on unless you're emailing millions of people, we're talking really low usage fees here, which is way better than having to go to the next tier of like, $2.99 or whatever, when you may not have even sent an email that month, right? So it's most people find it is way cheaper to do the pay-per-use model.
Sure. All right, Jason here, he asked, JobTread provides amazing support to help integrate their software. Does HighLevel provide robust support to help implement the tools you've shared today?
Absolutely. So we actually have live Zoom support 24/7, which is crazy. So you can literally jump on Zoom with our team and have them help you out with whatever you're working on.
Nice. Matt has asked, how does HighLevel affect the current CRM database on JobTread in which you can build pipelines, etc.?
So I like to think of when we're using HighLevel in conjunction with JobTread, the funnel, and typically people will use HighLevel for the top of the funnel, like lead generation, nurturing those leads, getting people to talk to us, getting them to the point where they're ready to buy. So I'll probably have a pipeline in HighLevel that gets me to that point. And then when it is time to actually send quotes and all of that, that's when I would like zap into JobTread and probably have like my middle funnel pipeline in JobTread. And so then when I get them through that, I'm probably going to, again, zap back to HighLevel for bottom of the funnel to manage people through pipelines of getting reviews, recommendations, reactivations, and that stuff. So it's kind of like a nice sandwich with JobTread right in the middle. And again, Zapier makes it easy to go between the layers.
Yep. David here looks like he pointed out, so there's also Loop. So Loop is a high-level reseller who integrates with JobTread. So you can reach out to them. They are on the in the marketplace, either under Loop or Builder's Board. But the nice thing, again, he's built an integration connecting the two. Also gives you kind of a lot of sort of starter support, getting up and running really quickly, which is really helpful.
That's a great point. Loop was there when we were at your event. They do a fantastic job. So yeah, you might want to consider reaching out to them because they've sort of taken like the big bag of high-level Legos and already built it out for this industry. So yeah, can't go wrong if you reach out to those guys.
So Carol says, best estimate on human resource requirement and skill set / talent needed to build out a JobTread and HighLevel from the ground up to Flywheel / maintenance stage.
It's a tough one to answer, Carol. If you have, an operator on your team that's really good with tools, like if you have somebody who already knows JobTread inside and out, it's not going to be hard for that person to figure out HighLevel and how to connect the two. If you don't, then I would definitely reach out to somebody like Loop or hit up our certified admin community. You can read the reviews and find somebody that looks good to you. Yeah, because you do want help. So if you don't already have that technical person on your team, I would go either check out the admin library or talk to Loop, somebody like Loop.
All right, Catherine said, how robust is the support and certified high-level contractor access? High level of robust system with a lot of moving parts. Non-agency pricing is $97 per month. Is that right?
Yep, that's correct. So $97 a month if you're a business and not an agency with clients. And then again, so when you sign up, you're going to get a 1-hour kickoff call right off the bat where they'll set up like the basics of your system. When you become a paying customer, you get a 1-hour implementation call with our team. So they'll go deeper, talk to you about your pipeline, get that set up for you. And then we have the 24/7 Zoom support, as well as the certified admin directory. So that lives at directory.gohighlevel.com. You can go there right now without being a customer, and you can check out all the people that are certified that could help. And so yeah, you've got support all around. And again, if you didn't want to sign up direct, if you know you want the extra support, you might want to sign up with somebody like Loop, who's white labeling HighLevel, and I believe they sell it for the same $97 a month.
No.
So same price point, but you're going to be working with folks that do this all day long for this industry.
Yep. All right. So
unlimited users. I saw somebody ask at the bottom, $97 a month, unlimited users. And I did post a link right above that, gohighlevel.com/growth flywheel. That's just a PDF that you can download for free. You don't have to fill out any forms or anything like that. And that's just a checklist of basically the flywheel that we talked about today. So you could use that to review with your team and say, hey, let's go through this and see kind of where our gaps are.
Yeah. So Jaren asked, for the voice AI, do we need to set up calls to forward from our existing business phone number?
So you can. This is pretty cool. And we actually have a help doc at help.gohighlevel.com if you want to look for it. Pretty much every phone carrier. So like, let's say you have, I don't know, desk phones through Verizon or whatever. They all have codes that you can punch in that will forward your unanswered calls. So you could keep the desk phone on your desk, but punch in the code. And if you don't answer, it will then forward it to your HighLevel number where your voice AI agent can pick up.
Yep. All right. Well, looks like we are just about out of time here. Again, Chase, really appreciate you coming on to share all of this insight, giving this very insightful presentation, about how people can take their game to the next level. Obviously having the right tools, the right processes, systems in place, that's certainly how you do it. So, we really appreciate the partnership. It's been awesome getting to work, with you, with your team all the developers over there. We're going to keep trying to flush out how does this integration work. But again, I don't want people to wait. Again, you can do all of this right now today using Zapier, going through Loop or one of our other partners. There's a lot of power that you can unlock here using HighLevel as your marketing, automation, CRM, being able to nurture all the leads, everything that Chase walked through today. Like, that is what it takes to really grow a very successful, scalable business. You got to invest and get the right tools in place to do that. So please do check them out. Whether it's directly through them, through Loop, reach out to your customer success manager. We look forward to helping you all get set up and get your business ready to grow. Thank you, everyone.
Thanks so much for having us. Can't wait to see you at the next event.
All right. We'll see you soon.
See you guys.
Bye.